What was your first name, and then ask a question.
Hi, my name is Will, and this is a question from Rob. I've been doing some research, and apparently it says that you were involved in the Mel Brooks cult classic Spaceballs, and I was wondering if you could talk a bit about that.
About Spaceballs?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I worked on Spaceballs for a couple of days doing, it's called looping, which means you add voices. Cammy knows all these, does this all the time. But often you will re-voice a character, or when things are shot live, there's a lot of noise in the background or whatever. So they bring actors in to fill out the background. If we're in the background, we're talking, stuff like that. So yeah, I got to work on Spaceballs for a couple of days, and it was pretty remarkable. I'll tell you a very quick story. It's one of these stories that's true, and it's one of my dear friends. It was the late great Phil Hartman, and Phil was so profoundly gifted and a lovely man. You guys know him from SNL, and I remember meeting him and telling him, Phil, you are terrifyingly inspirational, because there's no way I could even touch his ability, but his inspiration is just okay. So it was Phil who said, look, we all steal, you ought to find your own way. Lovely. So we were working together on Spaceballs, and yes, Phil was looping. Oh yeah, well, this was Spaceballs was 1980.
Like late
84 or something like that.
Like 89.
So it was before SNL. It was Tress McNeil, Phil, Nancy Clark, and I was Butch before we were. Yeah, and so Mr. Brooks, Mel Brooks came down and was directing, and he said, okay, in the next scene, all the dinks that are walking around with the hoods, ding. Bill Pullman crashes on the sand planet, and one of the dinks brings him water. So we gotta refer to him later, so I gotta have a name for one of you kids, so we're gonna call this dink with the water. So I looked at Phil, and because I like poetry, and Rudyard Kipling was one of my favorites, so I said, Gunga Dink. Now, there's a great movie called Gunga Dink, and he's a water boy, right? So, Phil, yeah, I'm 25. Phil says, Mr. Brooks, my friend Rob here's got some. Yeah, what do you got, son? And I looked at Phil, I said, Jesus, I have Gunga Dink. The dialogue editor laughed, the other actors laughed. Mel said, Gunga Dink, yeah. What's your name, son? Rob Paulsen. Yeah. In my business, wit is shit, money is money. Who's got something else? It broke my heart, so I started helping Mr. Bank.
Wow.
Check this out. I'm sorry, you asked. A couple of years later, we have our good friend Chris Hardwick, whom you guys know from Walking Dead and Talking all that. He did a podcast, and he was on mine, and I was on his. He had Mel Brooks on his podcast. He called me and said, Robbie, I had Mel Brooks on my podcast today, and I said at the end, I gotta ask you. My friend Rob Paulsen did looping on WillandWill. Did that happen? And Mel laughed and said, you know what? Something I was said. Sorry, Rob, that was funny. So anyway, that's my Spaceballs story.
Thank you so much.